Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar, 4 Ways to Sell to Schools Successfully. This is brought to you by Agile Education Marketing. We are joined here today by several members of Agile's leadership, and they will share with you all about the exciting developments at Agile and how they will serve you in your marketing and sales efforts. Now, while there will be several speakers, we will hold a group Q&A at the end of the presentation, so please enter your questions into the question function of the GoToWebinar, and we will be sure to respond to them at the end of the session. And now to get us started is our host, Liz Acton. Liz has held senior marketing roles at several education companies previously, including Pearson Education. And she is now the Director of Marketing for Agile and has a great agenda for you today. So without any further ado, I'd like to present Liz Acton.
Thank you very much for that. And welcome, everyone. And I'm so happy that you could join us today. Today we have several people who have been working for years here at Agile and throughout the education and data services industries. And they have been making it, what they do every day to ensure that the services and products that we're putting together and we're bringing to you are going to help you meet your goals and run your business more effectively. So if we can take a look at the agenda so that everyone gets oriented a little bit for our session today. Thank you. So we're going to be covering 4 different areas, and we put this together because we want to make sure that you understand everything that Agile can partner with you on, work with you on, and what we can do for you. And we also felt very strongly that it was important to give you sort of a sneak peek into who it is that actually is working on all of these things, what they do every day, but also every single one of them was super excited about some of the new things that they've been developing for the coming year, looking at now 2019, and I can't believe that it's almost here. But in 2019, there's going to be a lot more that you'll be able to do with Agile marketing. So we'll start off with data, and we're going to just look at the backbone of all of modern marketing. What is the information that you have available to you? How are we updating it? And what are some of the new things that you can take advantage of in the new year? And then we're going to move into how you put that data and information to use in your world, optimizing campaigns, learning from things that you've done, and always refining your work. And then, very excited, we'll be to bring this third section to you. We're going to actually be talking about some of our new offerings. So, direct marketing has really expanded beyond a lot of the traditional ways of reaching our customers. And so we're going to be talking to you about social media and some of the new things that we've developed in that arena. And finally, we'll be sharing with you an on-demand, always available resource center so that you can, if you're up late at night, you need some new ideas or you just need some fresh thinking, we actually have a new website called sellingtoschools.com where you can always go and get some of the latest thinking or just some basics if you really need to communicate in that way with your team, or if you've got new team members, we have that. So I'm really excited to wrap up with that resource and make sure that you know that you have that at your disposal. So let's get started with Mike LeClaire, and he's our data quality and compilation manager. Mike, so if I could go ahead and hand it over to you, and if you wouldn't mind sharing with everyone what you and your team does and what you've got in store for us in the new year.
Well, thanks for that introduction, Liz. Like Liz was saying, my team is responsible for taking that cumbersome, ugly, repetitive, multi-source data, and we make it comprehensible and actionable for our clients. In the last couple months, we've actually been hitting on some new hierarchies that should help really focus on making sure you're reaching out to the right decision makers at different levels. The first hierarchy that we've improved upon is our library setup. In the past, we just had main or branch libraries, and now we have systems. And what that really entails is the system is very similar to the district in the school-district relationship. And the system for the library oversees the main and branch libraries. The exciting part about that is that you also get a lot of new metrics with this system data. Stuff like operating expenditures and revenue expenditures, how many libraries they oversee, how much staff they oversee. And what it really comes down to is that now you have access to higher level decision makers that make those decisions for main and branches and such. The next hierarchy that we've created is the EMO-CMO. And what that is that's the Education or Charter Management Organization. And they're responsible for really making the decisions that oversee their entire charter network. A good example of this is KIP. And what we've done is we've created that hierarchy so that all these schools, whether they're in different states or different districts, wherever they may be, we make sure they map back up, have that parent-child relationship to their respective EMO-CMO. Right now we have about 200, but that list is constantly expanding. The point that makes this a little more interesting is that we really focus on the management organizations. And these people, again, have that decision-making ability. They decide on curriculum, they decide on staff, they decide on school expansion. This is opposed to the service providers. We did not focus on making sure we collected people that provide payroll or other services to schools. We wanted to make sure we're collecting the people that make the decisions for their charter management organizations. The last one is we've also created a RESA or ROE hierarchy, and that's the Regional Education Service Agencies or the Regional Office of Educations. And in a nutshell, what those are is when smaller districts pool together to ensure they can get better contracts or better services. Great example is if a small district doesn't have a budget for their own bus, well, maybe they can pool together and go in with another district and get a bus that they could share between the two. And then you have similar setups with technology, food contracts, even special education teachers. So like I was saying, in the last couple months, we've created those new hierarchies to really help our clients dial into the right decision makers at that higher level. But it's not just about the new hierarchies we're creating. Throughout the year, we're also hitting data quality. With data quality, it's really important to remember it's not just about getting the new stuff on the file, it's about getting the old stuff off. We're dealing with living data. It's constantly changing. In any setting, people are changing roles and jobs all the time. The education universe is no different. So what we're going to be touching on is what we do throughout the year, talking on about new schools, closed schools, personnel adjustments, email changes, and then some specialized metric updates. As you can see with the infographics there, in the last 2 months, we've created 814 new institutions. And we've closed a little over 1,400. For the year, that puts us right around 3,000 new institutions, and we've closed a little over 3,500. It's important to realize where we get this information because it is quite cumbersome to collect and make the decisions on. We reach out at the federal level, at the state level, and at the district level to make sure we're keeping updated and current data. We also make hundreds of thousands, close to 1 million phone calls out to these different institutions throughout the year to ensure we're keeping the most current data available for you guys. The reason we do this is our institution level data is the basis for all our other data points. You can't have personnel if they're not attached to an institution. You can't have emails if they're not attached to the right personnel that are attached to the right institution. And that's why we spend so much time collecting and managing those new and closed institutions. So what this does is it has a domino effect. On our personnel, in the last 2 months, we've added nearly 250,000 new personnel, and we've removed about 230,000. Then, as with many universes, we've also created new roles for existing people. And that's nearly 1.5 million just in the last 2 months that we've adjusted on our file for the entire universe. Again, just moving on down the domino effect, this results in email changes. We've added nearly 300,000 emails in the last 2 months, and we've removed about 108,000. We get this data from doing those directory updates. We collect domain changes from our calling efforts, and then, like I said, the state and federal directory updates as well. Another one that we're pretty excited about is we've just updated our Title I funding. That federal data set was just released for 2017 data, and we've updated our file, and that affects a wide range of metrics that we collect with trending data and such. And one we have on the horizon is our ESA data. We're going to be starting that collection process up in January like we do every year. And what we do is we go state to state and we collect proficiency level data at the school level and the district level. And we are able to report that at a very granular level. And again, that's going to be starting up in January, so we're excited to start making sure that that gets on the file. So you can see how all these updates are constantly changing and evolving. And we want to make sure you're keeping up on the most relevant and current data. Lana's going to be jumping in now, and she's going to show you how easy it is to make sure you can keep your data updated, relevant, and actionable using our data integration systems. Lana?
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for the intro and for sharing that information about our expanding data sets as well as our data quality. I'm Alana Henningsen, and I manage our account management team as well as our development groups. Our account managers work closely with our clients to consult on their email marketing strategies and ways in which to use our data more effectively. Our development team implements all of our systems, both those that support our internal efforts as well as our client-facing ones. Next slide, please. As Mike shared, our data is constantly changing. In just a couple of months, we had hundreds of thousands of email changes. Needless to say, keeping your data current is critical, and we've developed a number of systems to help make this seamless. AgileConnect provides direct integrations with our data in order to utilize the most up-to-date information in your application, CRM, or marketing automation system. It provides direct, real-time access to the data you license. We currently have connectors for Salesforce, Marketo, and HubSpot, with Microsoft Dynamics and Eloqua integrations to follow in the first half of next year. If you have applications other than these, including your own proprietary ones, Agile can help there as well. Your technical team can directly connect to Agile's database through one of our 2 APIs. Our Data Update API provides full updates to all of your major applications for all of your licensed data, and this includes for institutions and personnel, including closed institutions and inactive personnel, which, as Mike mentioned, is just as important as adding new data. Our Lookup API is typically used in your application to assist with user data entry, presenting users selections of up-to-date building information based on search criteria, such as zip, email, name, etc. A typical use for this would be for an online entry form where you're asking the educator to identify their school or district. Using the calls from this API, you can immediately link a new customer to the Agile database. And these APIs can also be customized to return additional data fields appropriate for your application. Next slide, please. When clients deploy their email campaigns through Agile, they use our eAnalysis product to analyze the results of those campaigns. In addition to individual metrics or metrics on individual campaigns, eAnalysis has the ability to create reports that compare campaigns. By selecting multiple campaigns, you can view key metrics across them in aggregate. Marketers can then determine how variables may impact performance from one campaign to the next by looking at various metrics across them. So if you can see here, such as open rates that are in this example. So you can compare multiple campaigns to each other and see how they're performing. Next slide, please. In addition to the Compare Campaigns feature, we're adding the ability to combine campaigns. We recognize the need to build reports to look at elements and trends across campaigns and over time. In these reports, you can drill down for more detail. For example, to see which were the top performing titles or how Title I schools performed. And that might help decision-making about copy or segmenting your lists. In this example, it might be a little difficult to tell, but in the top right graph, it's the building level titles, the calc teacher, physics teacher, theater teacher, that are the top responders to the campaigns. But just because the district level titles didn't respond by clicks as strongly, that doesn't mean that they aren't seeing your message. And we don't recommend removing district titles from those campaigns because of the awareness they gain to your brand, your product offerings, and services is key to them supporting or possibly making the purchasing decision, guided by the building level titles. And then those building level titles, the ones that are engaging more, are expected to inform those decisions and get close to the options. So their opens and clicks really are key. Next slide, please. By looking at different metrics across the campaigns, such as job, state, enrollment, et cetera, there are plenty to choose from, clients can create better segmentations of their lists, and they can adjust their creative and copy to reach those who are engaging the most, or possibly those who are not engaging at all, and decide how to put those campaigns out. If the client's stuck in terms of where to go with email strategy, these reports really do provide a clear picture on what works and highlights areas for testing. You can also utilize these combined campaigns and compare them against any of your other campaigns or any other combined reports. So they're useful in that mechanism as well. Next, please. The last thing I'd like to share with you is our new campaign deployment system. And this is currently under development, but will be available in Q1. This will allow our clients to create email campaigns either using an existing or using their existing HTML or an HTML editor, and we also have an integrated drag and drop editor. And they can also perform initial testing. So we've found there are a number of content-related issues that can negatively impact email delivery. And a few of them, you can have poorly formed HTML or links. You can have too much text, too many images that are too large, language that's considered spammy. The list sort of goes on and on. So the ability to work through your creative and test early will give you plenty of time to make changes. We've also found that the internal review process can be quite lengthy. So this allows our clients to manage that time frame. The clients can also specify their target start date and the throttling they might like. So for example, they might decide to deploy for 10 hours or for 5 hours over 2 days or 24 hours over a few days. So they can put in this information and then Agile will utilize that as a guideline, but ultimately we'll decide on the scheduling based on our overall volume and our best practices for delivery. We have been, deploying email campaigns for our clients for years and have a fair amount of experience and expertise in that area and understand how to best get these emails into the inbox. So we're excited about these new systems and the new features that we're adding to current systems. So thank you very much. I'll pass it along.
Thank you, Lana.
Thank you. Thank you, Lana. Oh, Ryan, you picking it up?
Oh, sure. A lot of great information so far, so I'll try to keep everybody interested. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Ryan Fox, the Director of Digital Product Development here at Agile. Because I want to leave some time for questions, let's go ahead and jump right in. So why does social media advertising matter for selling to schools? Well, currently both private and public schools are utilizing social media such as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and others to actively engage students and their parents. I don't think this is news to any of us, but it is obviously growing. Combine that with the fact the education industry is adopting social media for many other reasons. It's easy to understand why the graph on the screen outlines the data that it does. And of course, the numbers are only growing. But just in the last couple of years, Facebook has grown from 60+% in the education industry to where it is now, which is almost 90%. It's amazing. So yes, as you can see, all the cool kids are doing it. Now, with the high adoption rate of social media in the education industry, there are many benefits to us marketers. So let's talk about a few of them. A largely understated benefit of social advertising is the mobile device impact on information and use of social media for end users. Almost everyone in education has a smartphone, and they're accustomed to being able to get information at will at their fingertips, just like the rest of us. It's because of this instant form of information gathering that social media advertising is key to a business's success in today's world. As we already alluded to earlier, with the education industry being highly involved with social media and uses it as a primary tool in communication, if you combine that with the fact that almost everyone in the US has a mobile phone, uses that mobile phone for email, instant messaging, text, etc., and it's basically attached to them at the hip at almost all times, then it makes sense to take advantage and advertise in a context, not only for a channel, social media that they use on the medium, but is designed for the medium itself. Something else that some of us take for granted in social advertising, but definitely we don't take for granted in email, is deliverability and accessibility of content. Unlike email, your social media ad can be delivered 100% of the time, with the image being able to be seen without a red X that someone has to click on. We're all familiar with that. The ad won't go to a junk folder. The ad won't get kicked back from a server as spam. You don't have to worry about devices not being able to display the ad properly due to different email programs, etc. So these are all things that social media can help with, because the delivery method is actually from the platform itself. Now, another large advantage to social media advertising is, of course, the ability to interact with the ad and the ease of going viral. Because we all know you can't exactly interact with a banner ad on a website or a search engine ad on Google. Everyone wants to go viral, in a good way, of course, with social media having hundreds of millions of users, along with the ease of sharing, liking, forwarding, etc. The potential for an ad to grow and take flight happens every day. So if your creative message and delivery is on point, then the possibilities are huge for your ad. Next slide, please. I want to talk a little bit about what we do, but also why we do it. So social media is something that's relatively new to offer customers. It's not something that's a new skill set, but it's a new offering. So while others are focusing on generic social media marketing, we're taking one of Agile's strong points of being able to target, and we're applying that to social media advertising. So you have social media marketing and then social media advertising. The quick difference between the two is that ads can be distributed throughout the various social media channels and the ad types within those channels, with A/B split testing and other performance-based ad improvement automation. For example, when we develop a social media ad, we take that ad and apply it throughout the social media platform for maximum coverage. But when you focus just on generic marketing of posts or boosting posts and events, things like that, you're limited within the various platforms and aren't as flexible with the various areas. For example, Facebook Stories, Facebook Marketplace, Facebook Newsfeed, and all the other areas of Facebook that you have to have specific content for. So when you actually advertise, it allows you more visibility options and more areas of social media than just your basic marketing and postings. Something else, in Agile, one of the big differentiators is that we do targeted advertising in social, not generic or profile-based advertising. And when we talk about generic advertising, it is just that. It's generic, it's broad, and somewhat vague. While some folks might get more impressions, clicks, maybe even leads, we find that the quality of the data and leads is lacking most of the time, which of course hurts the return on investment as it pertains to closed business. To put things into perspective, on average, targeted advertising in social gets over 3 times the conversions versus generic advertising. And also, when we talk about targeting and things around that, I guess that source, we're talking about one-to-one communication, just like an email would be. And it's going to an exact confirmed set of audience and profiles. No fake profiles or anything like that. So the data will reflect the fact that you are being specific with your audience. Roboclicks, fake profiles, etc. on generic ads are something to be concerned with and can greatly reduce your return on investment and your data analysis. So the more targeted, the better when it comes to metrics and data integrity. And with that said, something else to consider as a big advantage to targeting is frequency. Frequency is something we all strive for. And for those of you that don't fully understand frequency, in this case, it is how many times an individual will view the ad that you're displaying. We know that the more often someone sees the ad, the more likely they are to convert and interact. With targeted ads, you can ensure a greater level of frequency management to those targeted individuals versus generic ads that don't target specific people in a way that allows for you to retarget them in that channel. And while we're talking about frequency, it is important to bring up that when you combine the power of Agile's email marketing with its targeted social media advertising, you're ensuring the maximum coverage for each of those targeted individuals for a true one-to-one communication, which of course is what we're ultimately trying to do. Next slide, please. In closing, I'd like to say that social media, while it isn't new to the marketing world, it is a living, changing channel that requires you to stay up to date with not only the strategies, but also the changing software, regulations, tools, etc. And please understand, we are here to help. We pride ourselves on being subject matter experts in anything that we invest in offering to our customers. And with that said, we will be hosting an exclusive targeted social media advertising webinar next month, where we will show a bit more of what is really behind the curtain and allow for plenty of Q&A and interaction with you all to help get you up to speed on social media advertising in a targeted fashion. Also, I'd like to let you know about a very aggressive promotion we're offering right now for a limited time. It's only through the end of the year. It can last through the rest of the school year as long as you sign up before the end of December. So be sure to talk to your account representative so you don't miss out on this promotion. And lastly, if you have any questions or want to set up some time to chat with us in more detail, please feel encouraged to do so. The more informed you are, the better your return on investment will be for your social media dollars. And I guess with that said, I'll pass it on to Scott.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Appreciate you going over that new offering that we have. It's extremely exciting. And I'll just jump right into a very exciting new offering we have from a content and marketing standpoint. Please move forward yeah, thank you. We've acquired and are taking to market a new resource for executives, account executives. We've created a marketing and sales blog so that marketing and sales executives can keep up with the latest practices from a sales and marketing perspective to attack the education market. And this is where you, as marketing executives, sales executives, and people that want to understand the basic selling and marketing to schools, is where you can connect with fellow education users from Agile. You can connect with industry peers. You can connect with seasoned executive education business leaders on strategies, resources, and tools to improve how you connect with educators. And we've organized it in such a way that you can find articles and resources focused on education database marketing, on marketing and sales information and intelligence, And some of the latest research and insights from the industry leaders and peers that we have that are contributors to the site. One thing you'll find is this isn't just Agile education marketing employees that are putting information out here, but it's actually a peer-to-peer information gathering and information dissemination. And it's all designed to help you be more efficient and effective in the way you connect with educators. And we like to make sure that what we provide to you allows you to connect to the right educators at the right time with the right message on the right platform and all that kind of stuff. We can continually are trying to find the best ways for you to connect with educators. So we're very excited about selling to schools because it really is a peer education business professionals putting information out there from marketing to sales and leadership can all contribute and share best practices from their own experiences out here. So selling to schools is really a place to find and connect with these professionals so that they can help you overcome business challenges and find innovative ways to go to market. And then you can also keep up with the latest trends, with thought leaders, and where the industry is heading. You can access current trends in the education market, the latest marketing technology, marketing tactics, selling tactics, strategic planning, to help you grow your business, to help you be able to plan for your business, be able to help you grow your sales, be able to grow revenue, and be able to be more effective in the way that you go after the education sector. You can even look at things like market viability analysis, targeted marketing, and sales intelligence. So overall, selling to schools really was created for marketing and sales executives to keep up with the latest best practices on going to the education market. That is a really quick primer on what selling to schools is. We would love you to go out, take a look at it, let us know what you think, and please give us some feedback. So that was all I was going to talk about today. So I will also close up our conversation and do a quick summary of what we talked about. We're really excited about some of the new offerings that we're bringing in, as well as the way we continue to be more effective in the way that we deliver everything that we've done. We're coming up on 10 years in the business now. So for example, Mike, he talked about how he works on making our data sets much more comprehensible for you, how you make sense of the education market through the ways that he delivers the data, because you see that the education market is a very dynamic, ever-changing market, and we constantly, and it is critical for you to think about, you must stay on top of the way this education data is constantly changing. There's, as some people you've probably heard, there's over 20% churn rate just in K-12 alone. Staying on top of that is absolutely critical, and that's where Mike and his team can allow you to understand that data much better. And then Lana talked about how we work with that data more effectively with the tools and technologies that she's bringing to the table, allowing you to connect to the systems that you may already have within your company, that we're allowing to getting some more and more integration capabilities so that it's not as disruptive to get this information into the hands of the marketers and the sales folks within your organization, and how you can leverage the results that she's bringing to the table with the analytics tools to be able to continually tweak your marketing to make it much more effective as you go through your marketing efforts week after week and year after year. And then of course, Ryan, everyone's excited about social media, but he did start to disseminate and help you understand why social media advertising is something you really want to start considering, and how that engagement is growing constantly in the social media side. There's a whole area within the social media side, within the education, that educators actually are more on social media than even the general public. So it's something you definitely want to consider and put within your marketing plan going forward, because he shows that the adoption rate just continues to grow and it's very high. The benefits are there for it, and you can reach the educators where they are on their mobile devices with targeted social media advertising. And now you take that, you combine it with traditional methods like email marketing and so on. And then you've got incredible coverage to try and connect with the educators that you want to reach to grow your business and to buy your products. So with that, just close. You already heard about selling to schools. So point 4 there, I don't really have to go into that. We would love to hear from you. And I'll close it off there and thank everyone for joining us today.
So we're going to move to the Q&A, and if you can all enter your questions into the questions function of the GoToWebinar control panel, we'll be happy to field them. I'll give you a minute or so to do so. Okay, terrific. So our first question is, I believe, from Mike. Mike, there's a question here. How often are the data updates provided?
That's a great question. What we do on our side, to kind of take you behind the curtain, every day we're making adjustments to the data, whether it's emails, whether it's closing schools, whatever kind of updates, we hit that daily on our side. And then in a pretty standard procedure, once a week, we move that data into the production database, and that's where our clients get all that information and are able to update their files accordingly, assuming that's what the agreement is. So really it's daily, and then it gets out to the clients on a weekly basis. And Lana can kind of expand a little bit on that too, I think.
Yes, I think I'd add that this is, I think most would recognize that this is why we developed our custom integrations with Salesforce, with different CRMs, marketing automation systems, et cetera, so that you're able to get those integrations on a much more regular basis. You know, oftentimes, for example, our Salesforce integration, you just need to push a button that says, you know, update now, essentially. And everything that has changed since the last time you did an update is available. In other integrations, it's happening even without any kind of, you know, direct integration or direct event on your side. And then for folks that get their data differently, like we do have clients that receive their data in files that they then take in-house and process. And for those folks, then they get that on a regular basis. That may be weekly, maybe monthly, maybe quarterly. Typically, we don't want folks to go longer than that because, as Mike's described earlier, the change in the data is so significant. So.
And there's one more corollary question, Mike, about how are the updates done? It seems like a daunting task. So the question is, how do they get done?
It can feel very daunting at times. You know, like we mentioned a little earlier, you know, we get the data from a lot of different sources. We apply federal updates. We apply, you know, we go to the state level for directories, you know, school directories, district directories, private school directories, you know, and we kind of have our calendar when we're hitting certain things, but in the same breath, everything is getting touched. You know, we do address verifications every 60 days to make sure that our data cast certifies and such. So if a school moves, or if a school's temporarily closed, or even closed for good, it gets notified there. And we just have enough experience on our side and the right staff in place to make sure that we're hitting all these moving parts at the same time, while still making sure that we're focusing on important parts. You know, when school starts back up, depending on where you're at in August or so, we're starting the rostering process there and stuff. So it really comes down to having the right team, having the right processes in place, and really knowing the data so we can get it out to the clients.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Our next question is directed to Lana. When and how do I get access to the updates to eNalysis?
So we will be sending an outreach to our clients and letting them know, giving them a heads up. It will become part of the existing, you know, eNalysis when they go online. Once it's been deployed from our side, and clients have been notified. They'll just see another option in their left-hand menu in the analysis. And our target is the start of Q1. So that will be coming out here quite shortly. But we will reach out in advance and let them know and kind of let them know what to look for and how to utilize it via email.
Okay, thank you, Lana. Ryan, this question is directed to you. How can I go about getting started with an integrated email and social media campaign?
Oh, sure. Very common question. Short answer is call us. But realistically, what needs to happen is obviously contact your existing Agile rep, and we'll sit down, talk with you about the best ways to take email and take social media targeting and look at developing the best combination of the two in order to get you the results that you're going for. And not everybody has the same goals in mind. Some are based around awareness, maybe for a new product launch. Some are based around demand gen. Some are just trying to get maybe more email addresses or more contact. I mean, there's a whole slew of different goals. So the best thing to do is just to contact us so we can sit down, build you that custom solution of, integrating email and social media together.
Thank you, Ryan. A question directed to Scott. Can we submit requests to the Selling to Schools blog?
Yeah, absolutely. We love that. As you may have heard me mention, this is a peer-to-peer type blog system. We do, however, have we have the final say on whether it actually gets on the site or not, but we would absolutely love to hear from folks. And I know some of the people that are on the line, some of the attendees and so on, would be very beneficial to have your thoughts, knowledge, and capabilities articulated on an article and put out onto the site. So we would love to hear from you. You can email me directly. You can go out to the sellingtoschools.com website and contact us from there if you wish. My email address is sbrooks@agile-ed.com. So would love to hear from anybody that has any ideas on how we can continue to add value and to provide really good sales and marketing expertise and best practices on selling to schools.
Terrific. Our next question is, I think, Lana, for you. When will the Quick Lookup API be available for Marketo?
So we're in the process of QCing the final aspect of that. So it's going to be before the end of the year in December sometime.
Very good. Another question. This seems like any one of you could field it, possibly more of a Liz/Ryan Scott question here. If we are an online-based company, what would be the best way to reach our audience besides social media, of course? It's a broad question, but I have a feeling that there are a lot of good answers.
Yeah, I'm happy to get this started, Alyssa, and then Scott and Ryan, you can pick up with a little bit more detail. Yeah, being an online based company definitely presents certain challenges, and one of the things is, where do people experience your brand, and where do people experience what you do, and how do they find out about you? So it's one of those things where you want to make sure that you start with online. I mean, that's the hub. That's the heart of what you are and who you are. And making sure that your website itself is super user-friendly, easy to navigate, easy for people to do what you want them to do. Is it are you just trying to generate leads and develop a contact list, or is it actually a self-serve, all-encompassing website? And, if it is the latter, definitely getting a lot of input, doing a lot of testing to understand if your user interface works for the people that you're trying to serve. That's kind of a good place to start. And the next layer on your website would be SEO. And, I'm going to reveal my age a bit, but I really feel like SEO is, if you really think about it in terms of discoverability, I think it makes it a much less daunting task to take on. And really what you're trying to do is make sure that not only search engines, but the people who are using those search engines are finding what they're looking for. And if you are providing what they're looking for, it's super easy for them to get to that page, to get to your site, to get to an asset that can help them along the buying process for whatever product or service you're offering. And SEO, the nuts and bolts of it are just, some of it's really basic, and it's almost like, building a house. You want to make sure that you don't have dead pages. You want to make sure that your navigation is all connected, and that your images, for example, have words behind them, and your metadata is really important, because that's all that Google could see. Google can't see the, if you have graphics. Google can't see that you have a really great image. It only reads text. And when you think about it that way, in terms of discoverability, and only discoverability happening through text, I think that it becomes a much easier effort on everyone's end. And I'm guessing that probably the person that asked this is from a smaller, perhaps a startup. And so Scott, I think you might be able to offer some things there as well. And, social is great. And from my perspective, social is great because that's where people are already spending their time. So you're meeting them at a time and place that works for them. And that's one of the ways that social is so great. So I don't know, Ryan or Scott, if you want to pick it up from there and give a little more insights into, if you're an online-based company, how do you make sure the right people are getting to you? Scott? Ryan?
I was going to let Scott handle that because I could talk all day. As it pertains to, like you were saying, with SEO and other things, there's so many tactics out there. And my personal view for SEO is it's like a popularity contest, but on the internet. And you've got to make sure that your web page and all of your online content is tied together. And there's a strategy behind it, because when you talk about search engine optimization, things like Facebook, things like other forums and ads and things like that can actually play into the overall SEO. And we all know that Google and other search engines, they change their algorithms and their qualifications on a regular basis. So it's kind of a moving target, but most of the qualifications are pretty much the same. As it pertains to, being an online company and trying to have more ways to communicate and get out there, I'll also offer this. There's new tactics and new ways of doing things that are happening all the time. And not to show my age, Liz, but I remember a time before social media and before web banners. And there's going to be, the internet's evolving, and we have to evolve with it as marketers and entrepreneurs in order to take full advantage of it as this medium that it's become.
Yeah.
Well, your pictures look like you guys are 25. So we have one last question.
Thanks, Alyssa.
It's an easy one for me to field. Is the session being recorded? Yes, it is. And it will be sent out. A link to the session will be sent out to all our attendees. So that concludes all of our questions. And unless any of our panelists or host would like to say anything further, we can close the line. Anyone want to throw a Hail Mary pass before I close down here?
I would just like to reiterate that we have a social media webinar coming up in January, so don't forget to sign up if you can.
And we'll be sending out some marketing materials about that shortly. So thank you everyone for joining us today. We hope you got a lot out of today's webinar. And again, it will be sent out via a link in a follow-up with additionally some excellent handouts, which will help guide you in decisions about data, about email marketing and social media, etc. So have a wonderful rest of day. Thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone.